Your Excellencies, distinguished senators, my Lord, spiritual and temporal, most distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my great pleasure to join you on this particular auspicious occasion. Unfortunately, I'm not able to join you physically. I regret this. This is quite a moment that I would have loved to be physically present. I've been asked to speak for a few minutes in a review of a book written by our own brother, friend, I don't know, a quintessential Nigerian, engineer Sir Chris Okoye, entitled In Brotherhood We Stand, a roadmap for the rebirth of a fragmented nation. Let me, by way of preliminary comments, observe that the event today is that of a triple event. Double birthdays for engineer Sir Chris Okoye and his lovely wife, Professor Ifeoma Okoye, plus a book presentation. I want to say at the very beginning, a million congratulations to both of you. If you like, in my own view, this is one, so I make my comments in two parts. The first part, I want to say a few words about the celebrants for today's auspicious occasion. And part two, or second one, I then make a few comments on the book itself. This is quite milestone birthdays, 70 and 72, respectively. And all I want to say to Sir Chris and Professor Ifeoma is that you've been a couple in a haste to change the society. I believe that Rick Warren probably had you in mind when he wrote the book entitled A Purpose-Driven Life. Because both of you have been in the public space, almost in a haste to change society. You've lived a life driven by public purpose, and I want to believe that out of the 70 and 72 years respectively, Chris 72 and the former 70, you've spent much of these decades thinking and working for the common public good. Ifeoma, and your institution building initiatives remind me of the book Built to Last. You didn't just build people, you built institutions. And even as you retire, those institutions continue to live and continue to become beacons even for generations to come. And I want to say you've only spent phase one of your life. At 70, well, I believe the biblical injunction on Genesis 6 verse 3 that the days of man shall be 120 years. So, with improvement in technology, both of you are in just midlife. You can still hope to get to 140, 150 years. So, you've gone first half. I want to wish you, my dear colleague and friend, Professor Ifeoma, very many years of continued mentorship, continuing to build people and institutions. For Engineer Sir Chris, whom we fondly call Chris, I've known him for probably 23, 24 years now. And first, in the context when I was trying to set up the African Institute for Applied Economics, that's when we came into contact very intensely. And before then, I had known him, born at the conclave, Friday conclaves in his house on the political situation in Igbo land and the road ahead and so on and so forth. But we came intensely in the context of the African Institute for Applied Economics. First, he was a fellow of the Institute, an associate, a close friend, and then later became the chairman of the Enugu Forum, which was the intellectual activity of the Institute. And then the Institute obviously did a study, and Chris became the coordinator for the initiatives to set up the Southeast Nigeria Economic Commission, SENEC, and its sister institution, SENDEF, for the Development Fund, as it were. And I know that he served on the Political Reform Conference of 2005, as well as, I think, something to do with the framework for the delivering infrastructure committee to do that at the federal level. He was the chairman of Planning and Strategy Committee of honorees and Igbo. And so eminently, he was my predecessor in office. I later held that office. And when I became the chair, we actually worked closely together as we crafted the Igbo position on restructuring the Nigerian Federation. So, I can go on and on and on and on, and I mean, we've had animated, very intense conversations about Nigeria and literally about every subject. I want to say, in summary, that in the 23 years that or 24 years that I have known Chris very intensely and personally, I make bold to say that there are very few Igbos or even Nigerians with similar intense passion for the transformation of Igbo land and Nigeria as Engineer Chris Okoye. He has strong views on many subjects, and very enlightened one as well, I must add. You may not agree with him on everything, but if you raise a discussion on any subject, be rest assured that Chris will have very strong views, whether it's religion, politics, economy, infrastructure development, future of Igbo, future of Nigeria, technology, education, name it. He was also in the we worked together when I was the chair of the committee on Anambra Vision 2070, and he was the chair of the economic transformation committee of that, subcommittee of that, and even the transition committee for my inaugural, for my when I assumed office as governor. He also served in that committee and co-chaired the Committee on Economic Transformation. So, I can understand where he is coming from. And so little surprise, therefore, that he then got onto, writing. Very surprised that as part of his lifetime of struggle for a better Nigeria, he has come up with this particular book. Sometimes because of the multifaceted nature of the person of Chris, I sometimes think that we should remove the title of engineer to his name and simply award him a PhD on knowledge, the area of knowledge, because he seems quite everywhere and everything, and quite very enlightened amongst many things. So, but I can go on and on and on about Chris. But just to provide the context for this particular book itself, that the book itself represents the person, his life and times, and his views and participation and passion and commitment to having a new society, which, in my view, he has lived out, not just by writing about it or talking about it. He has also been committed in terms of actions and development in that regard. Now, my second comment, which will end it, is the book itself. In Brotherhood We Stand, the roadmap for the rebirth of a fragmented nation. Let me confess, kind of a caveat, that I haven't read the book myself. I haven't read the full book in full to provide a kind of detailed review that will be expected. I only perused through the summary. But in any case, trying to review a 246-page book in 10 minutes or so would do so much injustice to the book, and so I won't even try to do so. But in summary, this book is a 246-page book, as I said a moment ago, rooted deeply in the 2005 National Political Reform Conference. in which Sir Chris happened to have been a very active participant. The preliminary pages, especially the foreword, preface, and introduction, provide the reader with the context and background to the contents and the intentions of the book itself. The foreword by late Professor Ben Wabeze is indeed a real teaser. The book has 22 chapters, as you will see when it's unveiled and you pick copies, with the last 4 chapters dealing with the author's own prescriptions, unquote, on the how to, I underline this, go from here to there. And this actually provide both his own opinions or views, prescriptions, contributions, as well as the controversies that will arise from here as well. So, let me say this. If you look at the book and the conversations around the country, one will be safe to say that Nigeria for decades has been in denial. But not for lack of people alluding to the fact that we are in denial. As of now, for some time now, the debate has been whether the problem is that of leadership and good governance, or whether the problem is the structure of Nigeria. I want to dare to say that that debate is now unproductive. Both are important, and none can work effectively without the other. If you have excellent leadership, someone or a team with great staff, but you don't have a dysfunctional system, they will operate suboptimally. And vice versa, if you have excellent system and you have bad leaders, they will even try to subvert the system. I always like to give this analogy. If you have a Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, with all their skills as footballers, you go and put them to play football in a cassava farm as the field. Their skills may come to naught, as it were. So, you need a good player in a good field to optimize his skills and outcomes. What am I saying? You need good leaders who are committed, patriotic, driven by public purpose, and who are intent on living the society better than they met it. But more importantly as well, you need good system, and good systems not just fall from heaven. They are works of continuing contestations and evolution. No system is perfect. Every society is a work in progress. But we must recognize this and continue to work for the improvement of Nigeria. And this is the context in which this book comes on. For several years, we've been in denial, as I've said before. What we have is a modified unitary system rather than the desired workable federation. The unwieldy, expensive, and inefficient Abuja bureaucracy is the problem. The APC manifesto of 2015 identified the dysfunctional federalism and the Abuja bureaucracy as the fundamental clog inhibiting progress, and promised to, quote, restructure Nigeria, end of quote. But successive governments, even before the 2015, organized one national conference or the other to fashion out a workable framework. The 2005 National Political Reform Conference under President Obasanjo, there was even an earlier one in which the Okuemes and the Ojukwus and all participated. I think it was at that conference that they proposed this 6-zonal structure for Nigeria. So you had the 2005, you have the 2014 National Conference under President Jonathan, and several others, like I said in the past. But in recent years, almost all the sociocultural groups, be it Afenifere, Ohaneze Ndigbo, Pan-Niger Delta Development Forum, PANDEF, Middle Belt Forum, etc., agree on the imperatives of restructuring Nigeria. The patriots also agree. Most statesmen agree. And we dare to say that most politicians also agree. Then in this book today, Chris Okoye makes bold case, articulated, also agrees that this is the only roadmap for us to make progress, sustainable progress. Then the question is, if there is this wide consensus, what is it that stops us from moving forward? The question has been, how do we restructure? By who and when? Those are the three questions. How, who, when? And in this particular book, especially in the last 4 chapters, Brother Engineer Chris Okoye offers his own prescriptions and so on as we go forward. So, do you want to know, especially the last 4 chapters, he offers his own prescriptions on the how. Do you want to know what his prescriptions are? Then my destination is that you should read the book itself. You should read the book. And you should buy the book, get on, and also give copies out as Easter present to friends and family members. Surely, I believe, it promises to be one of the best books you have ever read on how to regenerate a fragmented nation. I look forward to reading the entire book and look forward to debating aspects of it with Engineer Chris as usual. Anambra State government will buy some 200 copies of that and distribute to others. And I would like to say that by way of conclusion, that while strongly recommending this book, everyone, every Nigerian, to pick copies and read, because it comes from, if you like, almost Chris poured out decades of thoughtfulness and participation as somebody who has been an active participant in the conversations and meetings and debates about how Nigeria should be. At 72, I'm presenting this. That is quite a rich menu for us to learn from and for us to move forward. You must read this book if you love Nigeria and join the debate and campaign for urgent action. This is because unless and until we recalibrate the structure and the institutions of this country to ensure a fair and competitive federalism, Nigeria will continue to stumble on its quest for sustainable progress. This book offers a pathway. It may not be the only pathway, but it's certainly a very forceful pathway. And we need to now take this and move from there. Philosophers, they say, have interpreted the world. The problem is to change it. And so for our political actors, statesmen and so on, we must get to action. And that's why I talk about campaign for urgent action. But let me dare to say that the job is not for politicians alone. It is for everybody. The clergy, the market woman, the organized labor, the civil society, everybody must get on deck, because the future of this country is such, very fundamental, serious business to be left to politicians alone or to be left to a few alone. I want to thank you again for this opportunity, and once more say a very happy midlife birthdays to Sir Chris and Lady Ifoma. Well, another 70 to 80 more years to both of you. Thank you very much, and God bless you.